Welcome to rank mode, everyone. Are you trying to rank up as fast as you possibly can? If so, I think you're going to be pretty happy with this Darkrai Weavile EX deck I've got shown on the right hand of the screen. Today, we're going to go through several matches, show you exactly how the deck plays out. I'm going to talk to you about different card choices, possible updates that I may do in the future. I've played basically every rank game I've played so far with this deck, and I've been very pleased with the results. I've been shooting up the ranks extremely quickly. And so without any further ado, let's go ahead and start talking about this match right here on the left side of the screen. We're up against the standard Giratina Darkrai deck that's absolutely everywhere. Started off with a Sneasel up to bat at the beginning of the match, which is a good thing to start with. Pretty much any match you want to start with Sneasel if you can up front. We went ahead and played our Darkrai pretty early. A lot of times I'll actually keep that in my hand, but in this match I went ahead and popped it out because I already had the leaf in my hand. I figured maybe bait out a Sabrina from them. Although, to be honest, most of the time, and this is a huge tip right off the bat of this video with this deck, I will very often keep the Darkrai in my hand until it's time to actually try to get that combo put together. Now, this match started pretty well because they had to start with their Giratina up front. It's not a great draw for them, so we did have a little bit of an advantage there, and we managed to get a quick hit off with the Weavile, which is a great way to start against this kind of deck. And it's not too uncommon that they have to start up front with a Darkrai or a Giratina, which is exactly what you're hoping for. Here, we did manage to get that start, so we went ahead and got that first hit, and we do have a Cyrus in our deck, so we may end up pulling that Giratina out here in a little bit. And I mentioned that I'll often keep the Darkrai in my hand and not play it out, but since I've assembled basically every basic, a lot of times I'll go ahead and throw them out. So what we're going for here in this match, Druddigon, this deck does decently well here because you can either one-shot the Druddigon with a Darkrai in some matches, or otherwise you'll hit it for 90 with a Darkrai Weavile combo, and then the next turn you can just go ahead and Darkrai to finish it off, and then go ahead and smack something else with Weavile. Now he's pulling out the Darkrai here, which is powered up. His Giratina back there on the back is sitting at 2 energies, and as you can see, my opponent's already all screwed up because he basically just hasn't really had a lot of options this whole match because of the way the match played out, and we were able to take advantage of the fact that we had a good draw where we had all our pieces, and basically things just kind of went according to plan. And for the rest of this match, basically what you're going to see is they're trying to figure out a way to kind of worm themselves out of this terrible situation that they've got in. And ultimately, there's probably just weren't really any paths for them out of this situation. So this match should be ending pretty quickly here, so let's go ahead and start talking about a couple card choices for this deck while this match is coming to a conclusion. You can watch it if you want, but as we see, I've got kind of a mix of different cards. I've got one Rocky Helmet, one Giant Cape, one Cyrus, etc., etc. A lot of one-ups. I really want to start playing one Iono pretty soon, actually. That's a card that I think is actually going to be excellent in this deck, and I'll be talking about that in a match coming up here. So we're in Great Ball rank 3 here, just plowing through. That was actually a win streak of 2 there, and this is the exact match right after that 2 win streak match that just finished up. And so we're going to actually see how long can we keep this win streak going. This is Great Ball rank 3, and this is less than 2 days into rank just coming out. So we're getting a lot of meta decks. This Hitmonlee Riolu deck is another meta deck. This is a deck I feel like Darkrai Weavile pairs up very favorably against this deck. I feel like I've won almost every match against this deck, and it usually doesn't feel too hard. Let's go ahead and talk about that possible inclusion of an Iono. I've even seen on YouTube somebody put a deck list out there, and they showed one Pokemon communication being run in this type of deck. And the reason why is because if you want to win, you know, the best thing that can happen, you want to have that Weavile up front, you want to have the one Darkrai back on the bench, and you're, you know, hitting for 90 every turn, and you want to start that up as soon as possible. This is why we have things like Leaf. This is why we have things like Dawn. These are cards, especially Dawn. I would say after your Weavile and your Darkrai and Sneasel in this deck and Professor's research, I also think Sabrina is absolutely excellent. I don't really see myself ever taking the Sabrina out. I think Sabrina is just going to be amazing in this current meta and with this particular deck. But after these things, I actually think Dawn is probably the next card that I will never cut, and I'll keep at 2 copies. Leaf is actually one of the cards that's potentially kind of on the chopping block for me, because I've found myself keeping the Darkrai in hand at the beginning of the match, almost every match, unless the meta shifts into such a way that there's a lot of hand disruption, everybody's playing an Iono or maybe even red card. I actually think red card could potentially be decent in the game at this point, because people are actually trying to play better, play smarter, and they're trying to play around things like Sabrina's early on. For example, if you're going up against a Giratina deck, if they just go ahead and pop a Druddigon and a Giratina, you can just immediately Sabrina them and kind of ruin their day, to be honest, if they didn't happen to have a Leaf also in their draw that they had. So as far as the match that's been going on the left side here, nothing too crazy. They started off with the Hitmonlee. It's just yet another reason to potentially keep a Darkrai in your hand, start out with a Sneasel, and don't play a Darkrai immediately. I was able to win the game pretty handily. I was maybe a little worried just at first since I only had the Darkrai, but I managed to draw into the Sneasel Weavile, and honestly, this opponent just never really gave me any trouble. The only thing that really made me think a few times in this match was just making sure to play around any possible win routes that they had. I don't think they had any really strong win routes. You could go back and watch it again if you really want to see. And already, here we are. We're almost getting pretty close to Great Ball already, and we're on a win streak of 3. So that's 3 wins in a row, 2 meta decks basically in a row, and we're on to match 4, starting it off with a Darkrai. And this was a pretty interesting match here, actually. I will give myself maybe just a tiny little bit of credit, because I did have to choose to go ahead and play that Sabrina out, which I think actually might have kind of won me this game. That was like my one major decision. Of course, my opponent is playing Pokédex. This isn't a good opponent. You know, given that these early ranks, even the ranked just came out, and so I am actually playing against a lot of good players playing meta deck, but every once in a while you'll still get a player playing a Pokedex, because at the end of the day, it's not that hard to get through Pokeball and Great Ball ranks because of the way the points are set up. Now this match, I was honestly pretty worried, like, okay, there's no way I can get myself out of this. I was on the play here. Now Team Rocket Grunt can actually potentially get me back in this. And this is where I think I may have actually played this match kind of perfectly. If I hadn't hit him with the Sabrina at first, and they were able to Pachirisu on turn 2 hit that extra lightning energy, I think I'm toast, because I didn't draw any other starters really. And they were on the playing second, so they were able to ramp their energy up a lot faster than I was. The worst possible draw I would say with this deck is you're playing first and all you have in your hand is a Darkrai. Honestly, they're pretty difficult to get out of, but it is possible to get out of. I've managed to worm my way out of it many times and actually snag a win out. And this is one of those matches where, you know, for example, Team Rocket Grunt, if you're on the play and you're playing first and you have to start with that Darkrai first, Team Rocket Grunt may save you. This is yet another reason why I may want to have like an Iona in here, because there's just a lot of situations where you really need to find like one specific card to set everything up perfectly exactly for this deck to work and have a chance in situations where it's otherwise almost guaranteed that you're going to lose. It is fairly often. I've played basically every match so far with this deck. No, actually I've played every match with this deck, so this is all I've played, and so I can tell you it's not going to be totally uncommon that you're playing first and the only thing you have is a Darkrai to throw out there. It's a tough match to win. By the way, everybody, let me go ahead and shout out right now. This is a new channel. I'm hoping to grow it, and my plan is to cover the competitive side of Pokemon TCG Pocket. I plan to take this account to Master Ball probably as soon as possible. Unfortunately, I can't really no-life it like a lot of people out there. I don't think so, but hey, I'll do my best, okay? So I plan on getting Master Ball as soon as I possibly can, and I plan on just putting a lot of interesting Master Ball matches out there, analyzing, trying different decks. So if you're interested in the kind of higher ranking version of this game, seeing different decks used at the Master Ball level, you know, go ahead and feel free to hit me with that subscribe if you don't mind, and let me know what you think about this format of video. I'm going to test some different formats of video, some with commentary, maybe some without commentary. I'll probably usually put commentary, and let me know what you think about this format of the layout of the screen, the deck, and so on and so forth, and I'll try to keep improving these videos as much as possible. All right, so we've already won 3 in a row, which was actually 4 in a row because I had won the game before that. And now we're up against another meta deck. We've got Dialga, Arceus, and Shaman, and basically a meta deck as far as I'm aware. And we're starting off with a Sneasel here. We're going second, which we like. We drew the Darkrai, which we like. We like putting the energy on the Sneasel first. This is something I've just learned from playing quite a few matches. It's basically always best to go ahead and get that energy on the Sneasel, even if it's back on your bench, if you're planning on like swapping them out. Because one of the things that can happen, you might think, well, maybe I'll go ahead and put an energy on my Darkrai on the bench, let's say on like the first, second turn, third turn, etc. Because, okay, well, at least that way it's going to guarantee me to get that 20 damage. I think this is often not the right move to make. One of the reasons is because there's a lot of potions and different healing effects running around, and if they suddenly heal up, then suddenly when you get your Weavile out there, you can't really do a whole lot because the Pokemon is no longer to be getting damaged anymore. Now, if you have the Dawn in your hand, and this is why there's so many situations where Dawn is excellent, then you can go ahead and maybe try it if you want to. You could also think about different breakpoints. If the Sneasel outcome where you happen to hit for 40 might open up a great breakpoint for you. Now here, things are, it was a pretty good opener, but unfortunately we just never managed to draw that Weavile. And this is why, you know, for example, I'm thinking about probably changing out like maybe one Leaf into one Iono, because for example, here it would be amazing to have that one Iono to try to get that Weavile out there. And so honestly, this is looking like kind of a precarious position because of the fact that we never drew that Weavile. This is a common problem this deck. One of the main problem that the deck has, it's very consistent, but I really think one or maybe even two Ionos or that one Pokemon communication is gonna get that little extra consistency boost that the deck kind of needs from the list that I'm playing. It's the only thing I've found is it's just a little bit too inconsistent in certain situations. And so honestly, you're probably thinking like, okay, well, this is, how can you win against a meta deck when you didn't even draw your Weavile? They got to kill your Sneasel. You lost an energy off of that. Things aren't looking good, and they're Sabrinaing you. Now, the funny thing is, I think that Sabrina was actually a misplay because you pretty much always want to go ahead and start stacking that damage on the Pokemon that actually has energies on it. Here, this is actually going to allow me to potentially try to get the win out here. And the nice thing about this deck, even though I said every once in a while it has some consistency issues, it is by and large extremely consistent. Because you're basically always able to start building a Darkrai no matter what happens. This is like why the Darkrai Giratina deck is so strong. You're just always able to start building up that Darkrai, and it's just always going to be at least decent no matter what happens, basically. But our opponent did end up having the Cyrus, which is kind of what I was expecting, like why they ended up Sabrinaing out that other Pokemon. I still think that was basically a mistake, though, because you should just go ahead and put the damage on the one that has the energies on it already. But they had the Sabrina and the Cyrus, so there was just no way for me to get out of it. And that was the end of that win streak. So this last match I've got, after that win streak ended, I went ahead and played a couple more matches, had an amazing win percentage. Maybe I won them all, I don't remember, but really great win percentage. Super quickly got up to the promotion rank to go ahead and get into Great Ball rank 4. And now I'm just going to show you the first match that I had to try to get into Great Ball rank 4, which then leaves only one more until Ultra Ball. So I'm going to be in Ultra Ball very, very soon. The only thing that's really stopping me is just making some YouTube stuff, like a couple shorts and making this video. Again, please do let me know what you think about this particular type of format. Like I said, I'm going to plan on messing with a few different formats. The speed of the match. What do you think about the speed of the match? I've edited pretty much all of the, you know, slow, silent parts out so that we can get through quite a few matches, and I'll plan on commentating over them, and I'll keep making these videos all the way through Master Ball rank, and I can test different decks and things out and show you multiple matches and commentate over them. But of course, I could do lots of different types of formats as well, like less matches and slow to give you more time to digest, or even more matches and even go through them a little quicker even. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about this match. You've probably already been watching a little bit. Basically, they start out with the Riolo, send it back to the back to get that Lucario going, which is what they always want. You're gonna see this match, this deck a decent amount as you're ranking up pretty quick. It does seem to be fairly popular. And again, I'm gonna tell you, I think we have an amazing win percentage. I think we're really favored against this deck. In fact, I think it might be like hugely favored. And as I understand it, I think people are mostly playing this deck to try to give things like Giratina and even like kill Magikarps on the bench, snipe them out with a Hitmonlee. This ultimately ended up being another pretty easy win in my opinion, and with this match we ended up getting to Great Ball rank 4. I'm going to plan on making another one of these, getting to Ultra Ball, and then maybe showing how to get all the way through Ultra Ball. Let me know what you think, sub for more, and I'll see you next time.